As you get comfortable, ready for this morning's class, one of the wonderful things about this time is that we can come to class on Zoom. But one of the hard things is that we don't get that physical transition from space to space. So let's create that for ourselves by giving ourselves an opportunity to arrive here. Congratulations on day 8. Building in a practice to have some time for the self, connecting as we begin this new year. Closing the eyes. We inhale for 3 ohms. Then responsively, Shambho, Shambho, Sachidananda, Sachidananda, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hare Hare 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 Hari Om. Taking a moment to allow the sound to penetrate through the mind, the body, and the spirit. Opening the eyes, soft gaze. Bring the eyes up to the top of the vision and around in a big circle. Noticing what are the eye movements like this morning. Is there stillness in the rest of the body? And as the eyes reach the top of the vision, centering the gaze, closing the eyes. And opening the eyes once again. And then bringing the eyes in a big circular movement in the opposite way. Relaxing the muscles of the face, the shoulders, allowing the breath to flow freely. When the eyes reach the top of the vision, closing the eyes. Opening them once again, taking the finger and reaching the finger, I'd say about as far as your arm will be straight. And then bringing the gaze to the finger, to the bridge of the nose, to the finger, to the far wall, to the finger, to the bridge of the nose, and playing with the vision here. Perhaps bring the eyes to the far wall and then to the bridge of the nose and then to the finger. playing with the concentration here. And then releasing the hand to the thigh, perhaps closing the eyes, giving them a rest, rubbing the hands briskly together, creating heat. Taking your time, making sure not to skimp on that heat as you cup the eyes. Feeling the prana from the palms seeping through the eyes, the optic nerve, into the brain. And as the heat begins to dissipate, beginning to massage the muscles of the face, including the jaw, the temples, perhaps the neck, whatever other parts of the body is feeling a little achy or needs a little love and attention this morning. Returning the hands to the thighs when you're ready. And let's come onto the back. Start by hugging the knees into the chest and gently rolling from side to side, up and down. See some giant swings, some need to wake up the body, going as slow or as fast as the body is asking this morning. And then releasing the feet to the floor, keeping the knees bent, bringing the palms to the floor. Coming into an inhale, let's feel that pelvic tilt. So as you inhale, we're going to arch the back and exhale, pressing the lower back into the floor. And continuing to do that at your own pace. That is that same tilt that we use in downward, in the warm-ups that we do for cat and cow. Whenever we come to a seated position and we want this neutral spine, this is the movement that we're looking for. Very subtle. And then let's lift the left leg up, straight up. You might take the hands and gently bring them underneath the calf or the thigh for a gentle stretch. First thing in the morning, being careful here. And then releasing the foot to the floor and lifting the right leg up for a gentle stretch here. Releasing the foot, nodding the head from side to side. And then bringing the palms to the floor, pushing yourself up onto the elbows, and then walking yourself up to a seated position, coming into tabletop, hands and knees. And using that same motion that we just did on the back, coming into that pelvic tilt, arching and extending the spine. Taking your time to get here, perhaps allowing the hips to get involved, the neck and the head to get involved. And then pausing at center, extending the right leg back, toe on the floor first, and then lifting the leg up, making sure that the leg is even with the hips. Pressing into the right hand and lifting the left leg, the left arm forward. You could bend the upraised knee and take hold of the foot with the opposite hand. Gorgeous. And then slowly releasing, shaking out the foot and extending the left leg back, toe on the floor first, and then lifting the left leg up, Finding your balance here, right arm comes forward, bending the left knee and taking hold of the foot with the opposite ankle. If balance is something that you're playing with, just have fun with it. Coming into whatever posture this looks like for you this morning. Releasing the foot, releasing the hand, shaking it out, tucking the toes under, and coming into downward facing dog, the inverted V. Pausing here for a moment, noticing the alignment here, making sure that the hands are nice and even, the fingers are splayed out, the shoulder blades are walking back, bending the knees slightly to allow for a greater extension in the spine, and the head is in between the arms, gaze is either at the belly or in between the feet. Walking the feet forward towards the hands, bending the knees as much as needed, coming into a forward fold, completely allowing the head to hang, doing whatever gentle movements here, perhaps swaying from side to side, taking hold of opposite elbows, whatever is needed. Inhale, lifting halfway, bringing the hands above or below the knees, inhaling and exhaling, folding forward with an audible sigh. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling, retaining the inhale for as much as you can without strain and letting go right before the strain. Gorgeous. And 1 more time. Inhaling halfway and exhaling forward fold. Coming up whichever way the body is asking. Releasing the arms up alongside the ears and exhaling, hands come to heart center, releasing the hands by the side. Coming into alignment here, making sure that the feet are a comfortable distance apart. 2 fistfuls, we say. The toes are pointing as much as they can to 12 o'clock, making sure that the knees are over the ankles. Exhaling, bring the hands to heart center. Inhaling, bring the arms up and then pause here, breathing normally, noticing the shoulders, making sure that they are reaching down as the fingertips are reaching up. If there is flexibility, you could take the hands, clasp them, and then release the index finger as the arms are up over the shoulder. If this causes any strain, releasing the hands into cactus here. Continuing to release the shoulders down as the fingertips stay engaged. Taking 1 more breath, and then exhale, forward fold, bringing the fingertips to the floor. Inhale, left leg steps back, knee comes to the floor. Noticing the extension here, perhaps straightening and bending the front knee, pausing wherever there needs to be a stretch. Starting to listen to the body for the cues of what it needs. And then the next time you come forward, pause there. Taking an inhale and exhale, downward facing dog. Again, noticing this downward facing dog. Where are the shoulders? Where are the hands? Where's the gaze? Is there any room to bend the knees for a little bit more extension in that spine? Lowering knees, chest, chin in the floor. Inhaling, retaining the inhale, coming through into baby cobra, and exhaling, downward facing dog. Bringing the gaze forward and stepping the left foot through in whichever capacity is for you this morning. Noticing if this side is different than the other side, honoring that as you begin to bend and straighten the knee. And then pausing when you come forward, feeling the extension in the spine, the pelvis releases down. Exhaling, bringing the back foot to meet the front, forward fold. Bending the knees, resting the chest on the torso on the thighs, extending the arms out, coming up into chair pose, leaning back on the heels. And then exhale, straightening the knees, coming all the way up, arms come alongside the ears, slight back bend, don't lose the fingertips. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. Releasing the hands, shaking out the feet from side to side as we come into the second round. Exhaling, hands come to heart center. Inhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, right leg steps back. Knee can stay lifted or it can come to the floor, coming into your version of Anjaneyasana. Perhaps clasping the hands, bringing them to the thighs, or bringing the arms all the way up alongside the ears. Taking your time to get here, not losing the integrity of the pose. Stretching out through the back heel, pressing into the bottom of the foot. Taking 2 breaths here, noticing any sensations and breathing into them. Of course, coming out whenever the body is asking. Releasing the hands to the floor, stepping back into downward facing dog. Releasing the knees to the floor, bringing the shoulders over the wrists into a modified plank here. You could lift the knees or experiment with lifting the knees if that's new to you. Making sure that the elbows are hugging in towards the body as you lower down any way the body is asking, knees, chest, chin, or Chaturanga Dandasana, coming through into low cobra or upward facing dog. And then placing the palms back on the floor, bringing and sliding the arms forward so that the elbows are alongside the shoulders, coming into Sphinx pose. Releasing the pelvis down, feeling a stretch here in the upper body. And then from here, tucking the toes under and lifting the hips up into forearm plank here. You could lower the knees to the floor if this is too much. And then slowly lowering down, back into Sphinx pose, placing the palms on the floor and coming up into downward facing. Bringing the gaze forward and stepping the right foot through the hands. And then coming up into your version of Anjaneyasana this morning. Perhaps this side is different. Taking a few breaths here. Breathing into the sensation. As always, coming out when the body is asking. Releasing the fingertips to the floor. Tucking the toes under and stepping the back foot forward. Coming into Utkatasana one more time. Bring the arms forward alongside the ears, pressing back into the heels. Coming up onto the tippy toes, extending all the way up, straightening the knees, and then exhale, releasing the hands to heart center. Releasing the hands to the side and letting it go. Perhaps swaying gently from side to side, doing some twists here. Coming into a standing pose, bringing the hands to the hips, coming into warrior one. Step the left leg back just slightly. The feet are going to be like they are on railroad tracks. The right foot, you have the right foot back, right? The right foot comes in slightly, the back foot, and bending the left knee, the front knee. Arms come up alongside the ears. If the calf muscle, if there's too much stretch in the calf muscle, bring the back foot in slightly. Take a minute to come into this pose, finding your warrior one. Fingertips continue to extend, shoulders release down. Pressing into the front foot and through the back foot here too. Releasing the hands to the hips, straighten the front knee. Hinging forward, coming halfway down. Pausing here into pyramid, and then releasing the head and the arms all the way down. Perhaps having a micro bend in that front foot. Releasing the head, releasing the arms. And then very carefully coming up halfway, placing the hands back on the hips. Coming up with a neutral spine, releasing the arms up into warrior one. And then releasing the hands to heart center, stepping the back foot to meet the front. Shaking out the feet, shaking out the hands. Beautiful. Stepping the opposite foot back. I believe it is the left leg, whichever one you haven't done. And bringing in that back foot slightly, 45 degrees. Bring the hands to the hips first, noticing the alignment here, making sure that the weight is as much possible evenly distributed between the front and the back legs. The hips are reaching forward, aiming for that here as the arms come up alongside the ears. Again, shoulders continue to release down, fingertips stay active. Bending that front knee. If there's too much stretch in the calf, perhaps bringing that back leg in a little bit. Beautiful. Straightening the front knee, bringing the hands to the hips, hinging forward, coming halfway first, noticing if any adjustments need to be made here. And then slowly bending all the way over, releasing the hands wherever they might come. Perhaps it's to the shin, adjusting as your body needs. Coming up halfway, walking the hand up the leg or hinging forward. Bring the hands to the hips first and then slowly come up, really slow. Stepping the back foot forward to meet the front. And then shaking out the hands and shaking out the legs. Preparing for Malasana, wide-legged squat, bringing the feet as wide as the mat. Bring the hands to heart center, inhaling, extending the spine, and exhaling, bending the knees and releasing the buttocks down. If the heels come up, that's perfectly fine. You may want to place a blanket underneath the heels. Closing the eyes, perhaps. And then taking one hand, coming into a seated position, and then lowering down into Shavasana. Taking a moment here, allowing the body and the mind to absorb the standing poses. Noticing how the body and the mind and the spirit feel on this day 8. And then rolling over onto the abdomen for Advasana. Bring the hands by the hips. And then placing the arms straight in front of you alongside the ears. We'll come into Superman. So the arms are straight ahead. And we're going to lift the right leg and the left arm forward. And then we're going to come into that on the opposite side. So lift the left leg and the right arm. Continuing to do that at your own pace. And then lower both halves of the body, and we'll lift the arms and the legs at the same time. You could continue to do one leg and one arm at a time if this does not feel safe. Lowering down and coming up one more time. And then lowering the body down. Preparing for Dhanurasana, bow pose. Bending the knees. And then taking hold of the feet or the ankles. Pressing the feet into the hands, lifting the lower body. And then lifting the head, the neck, and the chest. Stretching the entire spine here. Coming down whenever the body is asking. If you're on the abdomen, you might rock back and forth. And then slowly releasing the feet, the legs, coming down to rest. One cheek comes to the floor, or making a pillow with your hands by clasping the fingers and resting the forehead on the clasped fingers. Pressing the palms into the floor, coming into hands and knees, into tabletop. Coming into a few rounds of cat and cow to neutralize the spine. And then coming to sit back into hero's pose, resting the buttocks on the heels, tucking the toes under here, getting a little bit of a toe stretch. You could then take one hand and stretch the fingers as we do this. Of course, releasing the feet whenever is needed, and then coming back onto the hip, bringing the palms to the floor, releasing the tops of the feet to the floor here. Coming into an inversion practice this morning, whether it's the beginning stages of headstand or shoulder stand or legs up the wall or placing a block underneath the sacrum. If you are doing shoulder stand, making sure to place a blanket underneath the shoulder blades. If there is another inversion practice that you have, please feel free to come into that as well. Finding a sense of stillness in whichever inversion you've chosen this morning. Perhaps practicing a leg variation, bringing the feet wide, bringing the soles of the feet together. Perhaps bringing one leg over the head and then the other leg. And knowing that whatever your practice looks like this morning may look different at 2 o'clock this afternoon, or this evening, or tomorrow morning. And making sure that everything you do this morning is in service to you. Releasing the palms to the floor if you're in shoulder stand. And then slowly coming down, pausing when the hips are on the floor, and making a decision whether to lower the legs with the knees straight or bent. When the legs reach the floor, taking a moment to release here. Perhaps bringing the knees into the chest, releasing the lower back. And preparing for the counter pose. Matsyasana, fish pose. Or if it is a practice for you to do Supta Vajrasana, you might come into that as well. Taking some breaths here. And then bringing the chin towards the chest, releasing down. Bending the knees, bring the feet flat to the floor, windshield wiping the legs from side to side. And then taking the right foot and placing it over the left thigh above the knee. Taking the hands and bringing them underneath the left thigh for thread the needle. You could take the right hand and press the thigh away from the head for more intensity. You could straighten the left leg. Playing this with this a little bit. Releasing the hands. Releasing the right foot to the floor, both feet. And then taking the left foot and placing it over the right thigh. This side may be different oftentimes. One side has different sensations as the other as you take the hands and thread them through the right thigh. Again, exploring here, perhaps taking the hand, pressing it away on the knee, pressing it away from the head. Perhaps straightening the knee. Perhaps making circles with the foot in one direction and then the other. Oh yeah. And then releasing the foot to the floor. Releasing both feet to the floor. And actually, since we didn't do that on the other side, let's stretch the left leg up and just make some circles with the ankles so that it doesn't get jealous. And then release the foot to the floor. Reaching the arms alongside the head and then using the core muscles to come into a seated position, using the momentum here. Beautiful. Coming into a twist here, straightening the legs, sitting in Dandasana, remembering that pelvic tilt. See, I have a cushion here, flexing the feet, perhaps pressing the palms into the floor. Taking a deep breath here, noticing the muscles of the back working as the shoulders release down. And then taking the right knee, hugging it in towards the chest, placing it over the left thigh. If both sit bones comfortably sit on the ground, you could bend the bottom leg into a bent leg variation. Hugging the knee into the chest, lengthening the spine, taking the right hand to the floor, to the back, inhaling. Slowly, very slowly twisting the abdomen, then the chest, then the collarbone, then the neck, and then the head. It can be easy to just come into the pose. So I invite you, especially in a twist, to continue to notice the subtleties as you use the breath to lengthen and to twist a little bit further, whatever that looks like for you. Taking one more breath here, and then exhale slowly the head, the chest, the torso, towards the center, doing a counter twist to the other side. And then straightening the legs, shaking them out. Coming back into Dandasana, that staff pose, flexing the feet, pressing the palms into the floor. Feeling the spine neutral here, a pelvic tilt, recentering, bending the left knee and placing it over the right thigh. And perhaps coming into the bent knee by bending the left knee. If both sit bones are able to rest comfortably, taking the left hand to the floor by the small of the back, and then slowly twisting the torso, the chest, the neck, over the bent knee. Noticing if this side is different. Is there a tendency to rush here? As we bring the head to center, the neck, the chest, the torso, coming into a counter twist on the other side. Straightening the legs, centering once again into Dandasana, feeling the neutral spine, and then preparing for Yoga Mudra, the yogic seal, either coming into Hero's pose by sitting on the heels, or a comfortable cross-legged position, placing a block or a pillow in front of you if you'd like, taking the wrist behind the back, taking hold of one wrist. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, come forward, bringing the awareness within. Ooh. Using the entire length of an inhale to come up. When you reach the top, exhaling and releasing the hands to the thighs, no rush. As we come, prepare for Yoga Nidra, the yogic sleep, keeping the same sense of peace and calm. Putting on socks, placing a pillow underneath the thighs, perhaps getting a blanket, turning off any lights. you'd like something to cover the eyes, we'll practice Sigra Shavasana, the quick tensing and releasing. Inhaling, pointing the toes, making fists with the hands, bending the knees, squeezing all parts of the body in towards the torso, squeezing the muscles of the face in towards the nose, inhaling and exhaling. Stretching the toes out, splaying the fingers, bringing the shoulder blades down, lifting the arms, lifting the legs, opening the mouth wide, opening the eyes wide, inhaling and exhaling, release. Nodding the head from side to side. And doing any other small movements that will allow the body to stay completely still. And then coming into a body scan, releasing and relaxing every part of the body, including the feet, the legs, the hips, the buttocks, the torso, the belly, the chest, the neck, releasing the hands, the elbows, the upper arms, the shoulders, the head, the muscles of the face, including the temples and the jaw. And as the body relaxes, so does the breath, perhaps becoming more shallow. Perhaps there are spaces between the inhale and the exhale to notice. Bringing the awareness to the mind now, noticing the thoughts like clouds in the sky as they pass by one. And soon there's nothing but blue sky, nothing but emptiness. And in this emptiness, the true self emerges, that place that is always there for you in a calm or busy moment. And allowing yourself to rest in this place of the true self in silence for just a few moments. the awareness back to the breath. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, stretching the arms in one direction and the legs in the other. Then rolling onto one side, coming into a fetal position. Hugging the knees into the chest. And then slowly pushing up to a seated position. Again, continuing with the same sense of calm and peace. So you prepare for the breathing practices, pranayama. Perhaps sitting on a cushion, either the eyes closed or soft gaze. Coming into that deep 3-part breath. From the belly, the chest, and the collarbones. Exhaling through the collarbones, the chest, and the belly. Then preparing for a round of Kapalabhati. Exhaling completely. Inhale partially and begin. Exhaling completely. Inhaling that deep 3-part breath. Belly, chest, and collarbone. And then exhaling slowly with control. Using this deep 3-part breath for Nadi Sthiti, the alternate nostril breathing, releasing the thumb and pinky. Inhaling and exhaling through the left nostril. Inhaling through the left, blocking off the left nostril, and exhaling through the right. Continuing in this pattern, allowing the breath to be soft and smooth, and perhaps starting to increase the exhale twice as long as the inhale. Allowing breath to balance the nervous system, prepare the mind for meditation. And after the next exhale through the right nostril, releasing the hands to the thighs. Preparing for a brief meditation. Perhaps focusing on a mantra, such as Om Shanti, or focusing on the breath, or any personal practice you bring in with you today. And together. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Namaste. May the light in me recognize the light in you, and together we are one. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me this morning. Jai to the 21-day challenges.
Thank you.
My pleasure, Sue. So good to see you as always.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Today, we didn't have the daily reminder for the email, and that's how I've been connecting you today. So I just used yesterday. Is the connection always the same every day? Is it the same number?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, man. I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Sarah Asha. Hi, Mike. It's nice to meet you. I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself.
That's okay. I'm 2003 TT,
Yay!
Mexico with Ramananda.
Yes, very cool.
So if you guys see him around, tell him I say hi.
Oh, I will. Absolutely.
So are you, all the teachers are in San Francisco? Is that where you guys are at?
Are we, Divyananda? I think we are.
Am I muted?
No,
Nope.
you're on.
Oh, okay. I'm not in San Francisco right now. I'm at a house sit. Otherwise, yes. This group is San Francisco.
Nice. Well, one day
I'll have you on board.
when COVID passes, I'll come out and see you guys.
Yeah, you do that.